Welcome to the Fulbright DAST Program Experience 2024 for Dr. Naya Cosley in Solsona, Ilocos, Norte in the Philippines. The welcoming committee included the principal, the current PTSO president, the two vice principals, and the principal's secretary. Experience included 8,333 air miles in one direction, 3 countries, 3 airports, and 20 hours in the air just to arrive at Solsona from Virginia in the United States, with a layover in South Korea. Cultural dialogue included everything from museums to monuments to visiting the Bangui wind farm, which stretches along a 5.6-mile shoreline and faces the South China Sea. The windmills were meant to generate energy for 21 years, and they are the largest in Southeast Asia. Due to the location of the windmills between the South China Sea and the Pacific Ocean, the area receives more wind than any other province. They were created in 1998 with a $48 million grant from the Danish government and produce 40% of the electrical power to the provinces. The windmills produce about 25 megawatts of electrical power and 56,788 tons of carbon dioxide greenhouse gases have been reduced each year since the beginning of the installation of the windmills. This combines with the hydroelectric power generation and means that this province has one of the lowest carbon emission footprints in Asia or any other developed and developing countries. They are 60 meters high, 10 meters from the sea edge, and can produce up to 14 megawatts of electricity with a base that has a diameter of 6 meters. Malacanang of the North is constructed of Spanish, Filipino, and Ilocano architecture. It was built in 1977 and overlooks Powwow Lake and displays memorabilia, photographs, and artifacts from the Marcos era. The property was a gift of Imelda Marcos to her husband Ferdinand on the occasion of his 60th birthday. It is one of 29 summer residences of the Marcos and was sequestered by the Philippine government when the People's Power Revolution removed them from dictatorial power in 1986. In approximately 2006, Ferdinand's daughter refurbished the complex and created a historical attraction in collaboration with the University of Santo Thomas Center for Conservation of Cultural Property and Environment in the Tropics. He curated thematic exhibits in each room that reflected the former president's landmark public programs. The story of Powwow Lake. There are a number of stories that go around, but one of them is that long ago in this once dry land where Powwow Lake now stands, there was a village whose people were kind, generous, and God-fearing. Property was evident in their beautiful houses, their expensive clothes, and glittering jewelry. As years passed, rivalry among the people set in that they worked hard to acquire material things more than the others. God worship was forgotten. Among them, Juan and his wife Maria remained simple folks and never forgot to worship God. One night in a dream, they were told that the village would be destroyed by a flood if the people would not reform. They related their dream to their neighbors, but they only laughed at them. One morning the couple heard a voice saying, "Leave this place tonight. When you hear the roar of thunder, do not look back, lest you suffer the same fate as these sinners." When dusk came, they left with their little belongings towards the hill. Then they heard the clap of thunder and felt the earth beneath them sway and tremble. The villagers were roused, but their cries died down as they were submerged under the rampaging water. The woman instinctively turned back to look at the village. She swooned, and her husband tried to hold her. This tugging gave the name Nagandan. They turned to the rocks, which can still be seen today at Bante Pugoro. Atop one rock grew a bangar tree, which rises to the skyline like an open umbrella. Padre Burgos' house is the ancestral home constructed in 1788. Father Burgos' death, along with two other priests, lit the fire that started the anti-Spanish colonial resistance. He was considered to be a martyr. As a fiber artist and a textile artist, the most fascinating cultural things to me were, of course, the fiber exhibits. I also got to visit the Ilocos sand dunes, which meant I got to ride an ATV and a jeep across the sand dunes, and I got to go sandboarding. Each municipality within Ilocos Norte had a patron saint, which meant that there was a church dedicated to that patron saint in each town. Each town also had one of these archways. As you entered, it welcomed you to the municipality, and as you left, most of them said, "God bless you," as you leave. St. Augustine Church, also known as the Powai Church, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that is famous for the buttresses and large sides, which were a feature specific to Spanish earthquake architecture. The church was completed in 1710, although it was started in 1593. The reason that it survived the many calamities that have occurred is due to the preventive Baroque influenced structure of the church. As part of my traveling during the weekends, I also got to meet an ostrich and a lovely boa constrictor. I spent time at the Capuparawan Rock Formation, which is a natural rock formation in Burgos, Ilocos Norte, that is located on the northwest tip of Burgos and is situated right next to the Bangay wind farm. It was named after the Ilocano word purao, which means white, in reference to the white limestone formations formed over time. I also got to visit Centinela Hill. One of the other cultural experiences that I had was being able to participate in folk dances. And the ninth grade students who were in the bottom right decided to teach me the ninth grade folk dance. The dance has four figures and is performed to music in a two-part form by partners facing each other. It incorporates basic steps such as a heel-toe change, gallops, hops, and jumps as the dancers move around the performance area. One of my other cultural experiences was actually being able to pick rambutan. I love fresh fruit, and the picture on the right is actually of the harvested rambutan. The picture on the left is a picture of me trying to harvest rambutan from the trees. National Museum system in Manila, similar to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., is free to visit, and the Natural History Museum contains 12 permanent galleries that display the biological, zoological, and geological diversity of the Philippines. The Tree of Life, centered in the middle of the building, is meant to symbolize the connection of all the unique ecosystems in the Philippines, from the mountains to the marine reefs. This is another example of a textile. The what used to be referred to as the monkey killing bird is now referred to the Philippine as the Philippine eagle, and this is and was part of an art exhibit that was done in honor of the Philippines national bird. When we think about Solsona National High School and their school day, by DepEd decree, employees are to work 8 hours. They clocked out at the beginning of lunch and clocked back in at the end of lunch and were not paid for the breaks. From a social emotional standpoint, I love the time for students to just be kids and socialize and interact with each other, which in American schools we stop after fifth grade having that official formal recess time. This did, though, make for a very long day, as adults and staff were there for 10 hours. Students greeted teachers upon entering and leaving the classroom. Students were responsible for their classroom environment, and there was a heavy respect for learning, which seems very different than what you see in American school systems today. Students were also given the autonomy and responsibility to learn even when staff was not present. This is examples of the campus. The entire campus is comprised of sustainability measures. Everything is reused and repurposed. The picture in the top right, top left, and bottom left are the covered courtyard. That are pictures of the covered courtyard. That is actually where all school meetings, parent-teacher meetings, staff meetings occurred, under that courtyard instead of there being a formal auditorium. These are more pictures of the environment that students attended school in. So this is the Solsona National High School campus. This is the front of the school that was used for opening flag raising on every Monday, and this is also where students, during any of their breaks or their lunch, could sit under the canopy and eat or socialize. These were the ninth and 10th grade buildings. The ninth graders were all on one level. Seventh and eighth graders were on one level in a separate building. And then 11th and 12th grade had their own building. These are the beliefs and the values and vision for schools in Ilocos Norte, as well as more pictures of the actual campus. and the rice paddies and some of the student activities that were around the campus or behind the campus. Challenges and resolutions. So during my second week at the school, on my third day of teacher training, an educator raised his hand and asked me if I was aware that classrooms did not have internet access. He explained that the reason I had internet was because I was in the admin building, but that if they, as teachers, wanted internet, they had to use their own data plans. This was a challenge because my original reason for being sent to Ilocos Norte was to do technology mediated gamification in STEM classrooms. What I did was training on hexagonal thinking, on 24 games, on Jenga, astronaut drops, passing the light, and I had to pivot once I realized that internet access for both students and teachers was limited. I had to do more low to no tech activities that did not require one-to-one access or did not require a lot of internet access. For each of the groups of teachers, I changed some of the activities to support them in their classrooms. Students here were taking part in a summer learning camp and they were studying Newton's laws of motion. I challenged them to create a puff car. They were given 4 round candies, a half sheet of paper, a foot of tape, and 2 skewers. They then competed to see whose car could travel the furthest. Students also created round airplanes and attempted to fly them. They practiced getting both height and distance. Students in the summer learning camp were also challenged to create a lander for an astronaut using recycled materials. They were provided with an astronaut, which was actually a pom-pom, a Dixie cup, a foot of tape, and any recyclable products they could find on campus. In small groups, they created landers. The only rule was that they could not just put a lid on the cup to keep the astronaut in when the lander was dropped from a specific height. Teachers here are engaged during teacher training in brainstorming around a specific topic. This activity can be a pre-lesson, post-lesson, or during lesson to determine student thinking around the topic. They have to connect words around whatever the content topic is, and any letters that touch have to create a word that meets the criteria for whatever topic was provided. Staff completed a getting to know you activity in which they were given 6 prompts and needed to put an answer to each prompt in one of the 6 wedges of the hexagon. After the hexagons were completed, a visual display was created with the information in the wedges. If a side touches, you have to be able to explain the connection. This activity is done in the beginning of the year as a getting to know you activity and a way to help build community. Students were engaged in hexagonal thinking activities around celestial bodies. When used for content, there is one content-based vocabulary word on each hexagon, and students in small groups must build a visual display with the words and must be able to explain any connections made by sides that touch. Students engaged in a water filtration activity. They brought filtration materials from home or used materials on campus to try and build a filter that would clean my colored water. I only provided them with a coffee filter and paper towels. They were tasked with bringing in or finding on campus the materials to use to filter my water. Students were studying properties of matter, so we made oobleck, which is a non-Newtonian fluid that is both a liquid and a solid simultaneously. We also talked about animals and creatures that can walk on water. Students engaged in a Jeopardy Lab trivia game based on science content. If a team responded incorrectly, they had to pull a block from the Jenga tower. Newton's laws of motion, students engaged in a swinging water experience. The goal was to swing the cup of water around without getting themselves wet or losing any of the water in the cup. I trained at the second high school, Tuluktuk. There are 3 in Solsona. Teachers were engaged in a simulation and needed to take on the roles of one of 10 stakeholder groups who had to convince a judge of culpability in a man-made disaster that destroyed an agrarian nation. Students are making end effectors and from recycled materials and then needed to pick up tiny objects by working collaboratively with their peers. Dave, a junior STEM student, was the photographer for most of my off-campus excursions. He's also the reason I spent 2 hours in an arcade. And I think he really had a top secret mission of not losing the American doctor. He was always by my side with a "this way, doc, come on, doc, wait, doc, we got to keep moving." I introduced teachers to Copilot, which is a form of AI, as a way to differentiate instruction, support lesson planning, create project simulations, and create quizzes. I introduced teachers to Jeopardy Labs or Jeopardy and PowerPoint as a review process as well. I created a Google folder for the teachers to use. The folder includes the lessons that I taught, lessons that address content later in the year, the activities that I modeled for them during teacher training, and resources that could be used both to support lesson planning and face-to-face student content. One of the activities that I did with the Learning Camp and with some of the math students was a 24 game in which they had to be the first one to come up with 24 by using the 4 numbers on the slide. You can add, multiply, divide, or subtract, and you can only use each number as many times as it appears. The members of the student government and their advisor created a farewell montage, which is on the next slide. This is actually a picture of me with those students on my last day at Solsona.
In the heart of Solsona, nestled among our familiar faces and routines, a new chapter unfolded. A chapter penned by the presence of a teacher from across the ocean. For a brief shining month, our paths converged, and in that time, something extraordinary blossomed. From the moment you walked through our doors, you were more than just a visitor. You were a spark igniting curiosity, laughter, and a love for learning that echoed through our classrooms. With every lesson, you wove together our stories with your own, creating a tapestry of shared wisdom and wonder. You taught us that learning is not merely about absorbing facts, but about seeing the world through new eyes. You brought with you a fresh breeze of ideas, an energy that transformed our lessons into adventures and our classroom into spaces of endless possibility. In your time with us, you didn't just observe our culture, you embraced it, celebrated it, and added your own vibrant colors to our shared canvas. You became more than a teacher. You became a part of our story, a cherished character in our community's tale. So, we say not goodbye, but thank you. Thank you for the stories, the laughter, the lessons, and the memories. You've left an imprint on Solsona National High School, one that will be treasured always. Until we meet again, Dr. Naya, may your journey be as bright and inspiring as the light you brought us.
Goodbye! See you again next time. Have a nice day.
We would like to take a moment to express our gratitude for everything you have done to us during your time as our NLC teacher.
Thank you for being an exceptional teacher and for everything that you have done for us.
We
wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Hey Doc Naya, I really think that you're a really great teacher. Your fun and enthusiasm really boosts our imagination and creativity as students, and not only that, You seem to have triggered our curiosity in a really good way. So I hope that all of the students that you've influenced, I really hope that you know how much of a great impact you are here in Solsona National High School. Thank you for coming here in this school, and I hope that we get to see you again in the future.
We had so much fun learning with you, Dr. Naya Costley. Thank you for making every lesson an adventure. We had so much fun learning with you, Dr. Naya Costley. Thank you for making every lesson an adventure. We love you.
Thank you, Dr. Cosley, for being a beacon of inspiration, a catalyst for growth, and a treasured member of our school family. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors and hope that our paths will cross again. Dr. Nia, on behalf of Solsona National High School family, agyaman kami.
Agiyamanak.